UPA is not a political party. UPA is a coalition which came at a particular point of time.
I have observed Congress from 1977 onwards. I have 45 years of parliamentary reporting. Now Congress, after Mr. Ahmed Patel's demise, Congress lost its relevance. UPA is irrelevant. I totally agree with Mamta Banerjee. The reason being, Sonia Gandhi convened an all-party meeting, virtual all-party meeting, and she did not give the agenda. Earlier, Ahmed Patel used to talk to each and every chief minister, senior or junior, whomsoever may be. Ahmed Patel had a full control over the alliance partners. Now that K.C. Venugopal, who is the General Secretary, has not even spoken to Madam Mamta Banerjee or to anyone.
If you remember, the 2004 results came, we kind of kept everything else aside and built up a fairly stable coalition which lasted almost 10 years. I think that generally feeling is that kind of both activity as well as a clear sense of direction seems to be lacking from the Congress. That's a perception.
यूपीए की बात अगर आप करें तो उसमें सबसे बड़ा दल कांग्रेस थी, तो इसलिए जिस तरह से मतलब बीजेपी को हराने की जो रणनीति होनी चाहिए उसमें कांग्रेस को कहीं कामयाबी नहीं.
No matter whatever the anti-incumbency factors were supposed to be at work against Amrinder, Captain Amrinder, the fact remains he was the best bet for them. But what happened? Because you had a Navjot Singh Sidhu had a greater influence on the Gandhi family than Amrinder, because Amrinder had great equations with Sonia Gandhi because of his old friendship with Rajiv Gandhi. But somehow he could not click with these the Sonia's children. So therefore there was a chemistry problem. If you want revival of the UPA, that has to be a revival of the Congress.
UPA is not a permanent structure. When the United Front was formed, we were part of that United Front. Left was part of that United Front. We had the common minimum program for the government. Congress party supported the United Front government from outside. When UPA 1 was formed, we did not become part of that government. We supported the government from outside. Even then, there was a coordination committee between UPA 1 and the left party, and there was a common minimum program.
यूपीए का मीटिंग भी नहीं होता, यूपीए का एग्जीक्यूटिव भी नहीं होता, और तो अपोजिशन में आने का बाद 2014 ऑनवर्ड यूपीए का मीटिंग भी नहीं हुआ उतना. कोई जानकारी आप तो जर्नलिस्ट है, आप देखिए ना, याद कर सकते हैं कि कोई यूपीए का मीटिंग हुआ, कोई मीटिंग बुलाया हुआ, कोई रेलेवेंस ही नहीं है.
It cannot be debated that for a healthy, strong, vibrant democracy like ours, there is a very important role that the opposition has to play. But definitely, the UPA sans any leadership and ideology, and there is no cohesiveness within the constituents. It fails to provide the constructive opposition that our country needs.
As A.K. Anthony report of 2014 said, we should not antagonize the majority community, and we can't be appeasing the minorities. And UPA was not cohesive. First UPA was best. Second UPA was corrupt.
Well, I don't think the UPA in the form it was will ever now come into being. Like, there was a relevance of the Janata Party in 1977 to restore democracy, which came at that time. So every political force which rises has a certain historic role to perform.
And I think to hold UPA together is primarily the responsibility of the Congress. Being a congressman, I'm saying it is our responsibility. We have given leadership to the UPA. We have got the most senior posts from the UPA. Right? In a sense, many of the UPA partners have acknowledged us as being senior partners. Even now, you will see whether it is Shiv Sena or Mr. Pawar or the people in Jharkhand or Tejasvi Yadav. Some of the others have very clearly pointed out that there cannot be any UPA or any large alliance without the Congress. Obviously, If you're not as strong as you were at one point of time, everybody will renegotiate your space and position. That is politics, so that will happen.
Every member of the Gandhi Parivar is a part-time politician, and it is not serving the people of our country that drives them to politics. Rather, it is personal ambition to rule for the sake of power.
See, Rahul resigned in 2019 deeply disappointed by the fact that he didn't get the kind of cooperation from other leaders, in his campaign against Prime Minister Modi in 2019 election. He has been very upset. And I know for a fact, because when I had met Rahul soon after the Lok Sabha elections, Rahul felt that Congress was let down by a lot of his senior leaders who were ministers in UPA, whose actions and decisions affected the Congress chances of returning to power in 2014. So this has been his view. He doesn't have a great opinion of a lot of the senior leaders. So he has been looking for ways of rejuvenating Congress, trying to bring new leaders. Obviously, there is a generational clash in the Congress. Probably if Rahul were to decide, okay, look, I may lose several elections, Congress may several, but I'm here to stay. You see, this is a trait which Indira Gandhi had. In her worst moments also, she was the leader. But here the problem is there seems to be a fear of the defeat.
Rahul Gandhi should take a very active part. He can't be, one leg in boat, one leg in the other boat.
There may be many reasons why somebody may be traveling abroad, and I personally don't think that Mr. Gandhi only travels abroad to have a good time. I think he's got some family responsibilities or whatever else that may be. Let me not even go into that. Thing is, when you are in India, whether you are a member of a working committee or you are a former president or you are president or you are general secretary of a party, are you doing what today's circumstances and time expects you to do to the best of your ability? Once you do that, I don't think anybody will ask you where you are. And that's why I've over the past 5-6 years constantly been saying that it is not just our top leadership, not just the top 2 or 3, it's our entire strong top leadership that needs to come out of their comfort zones and start working.
The impression that has been gained within the Congress party and others is, look, Rahul has a tendency to just take a break, and there are times probably he feels so exasperated by the situation, and there is a lot of latent anger in him. That anger is directed at Prime Minister sometimes, that is sometimes directed at his own party and at his own colleagues. And I'm using the word latent anger because there is no expression of anger, but when you look at him, you feel that he's deeply upset. Now, for a leader, this is not exactly a great quality. Even if you're upset, you should not be showing it on display, because his several attacks on the Prime Minister, on the government, almost every day, through the social media, is not exactly making waves, because people tend to assume, okay, this is what he's going to say. Therefore, there is a lot of, you can see Rahul's exasperation with the media also, because you saw just at the end of the parliament session, even he's losing his cool with the media, saying, are you dalals of the government? Are you kiske taraf se pooch rahe ho? On whose behalf you're asking these questions? The fact that he left Amethi in 2019 and went to down Wayanad in Kerala, I think that also did not go down well in his overall image, because it seemed to be that he was looking for a safe seat. A leader looking for a safe seat, I think that did send a good message.
Why Mr. Gandhi only? What are any of the others really doing? Have they really, when Mr. Gandhi or others say that we need to counter the RSS, is there a single Congress leader that even comes and talks to the people and says, what is it that is RSS? There is a debate that is coming on whether Hindutva is Hinduism or not. And it's a debate that any Congress should at least understand what it is. Do any of our leaders ever engage in something like this? Have you ever seen any of our leaders coming on and defending some of the issues on which we either attack for fact that we haven't done anything of 70 years or UPA was a good government or not? So I think all these people, all those various people who get general secretary posts, what are they really doing except for, trying to balance out something between the party president or the chief minister or some errant leader somewhere who doesn't like the CM or doesn't like somebody else?
Congress continues to be a centrist, pan-Indian centrist party, even today. When I say it's a pan-Indian centrist party, a centrist party should remain as a centrist party. It should not take right of center position. Even if it doesn't take left of center position. So Congress party being a pan-Indian centrist party, it has a role to play in the emerging situation.
I think for Mamata Banerjee or anybody in the UPA, okay, it's almost out of the question to replace Mrs. Gandhi. But Mrs. Gandhi, because of her work and the kind of a senior statesmanship quality that she's always been able to project, has built an image for herself which is very difficult for any other leader to take on.
I think Mamata has been ill-advised at this juncture to go on decimating Congress, because if she were doing that, because ultimately a weaker Congress cannot help in formation of an alternative to the BJP. So I'll tell you something. There is a bit of a background to this, the frosty relation between Mamata and Congress. See, it was sometime before I would say sometime in 16 or 17, Mamata had met Sonia Gandhi and suggested to her that Congress should not insist on a leadership. Rather, Congress should assist in smaller parties also, joining the front. Now, at that time, Sonia Gandhi had made it very clear to Mamata that without there is no question of Congress abdicating its role as a main opposition party. At that particular meeting, I think it was in 2017, after that, Mamata came out disappointed because Sonia apparently gave a piece of her mind, saying that, look, this is not a position that, if you really want to replace the BJP with a combination of opposition parties, then you cannot ask Congress to abdicate its role, its principle, because Congress will be the principal pole.
It's a thing that they are somehow, not feeling maybe that needed or that busy or that, useful in the Congress. I think it's that. See, let's divide most people who defect from the Congress into two parts. Some are those who obviously, are much more conscious of what they have, what is called, much more in the power play, and they would, if they are not getting something here, they may get something elsewhere. People like Ashok Tamar and all, may not have got a position here and therefore may be jostling for a position somewhere else. So, ye to basically professional politicians, then they'll be looking for a job. But then there are others who are looking for something meaningful to do. There are many people who somehow feel that the Congress is not utilizing whatever little talent or opportunity we have meaningfully. And they are not all necessarily looking for a Rajya Sabha post or a party post, because they know that in the current dispensation, all these posts are preserved for a small coterie of people within the Congress. But these people feel that if we don't get something meaningful to do, okay, what is it that we are really doing in politics? So they may actually, my fear is that many of those would get attracted to parties like TMC, and that is a bigger loss, because it is these people who actually on field really work for the Congress.
For UPA, the engine was CPM and CPI left front. During UPA 1 and UPA 2, Sitaram Yechuri was the driving force. Now Congress does not believe Sitaram Yechuri. Congress, having antagonized CPM, having antagonized Mamata Banerjee, they are now friendless. There are no friends for Congress now. UPA is irrelevant from 2024 onwards. After Uttar Pradesh elections, there won't be UPA. But still, they will come under different banner. Whatever you say, the All India Party is Congress. If it does not cross 150 seats, there is no alternate to Narendra Modi or BJP or NDA.
I think opposition unity, it's according to me only important in a few states, okay, which have traditionally shown that they vote well when there is an alliance. Maharashtra is a very, very clear example. UP has never really shown too much of a response to coalition. Bihar is another example where it's like Maharashtra. It has got a fairly good, it's got a voting base that looks at alliances a lot more seriously than many of the other states. So I think the states that are today much more tuned in or have a comfortable past with strong alliances, I think that is where, if the alliances are put together, which are good, which also have a fairly well-established central leadership, then these states will do very well. The opposition will do very well in these states.
The Communist Party of India and left parties who have been saying all secular democratic parties must come together for a larger cause, and how it is going to emerge, we will have to wait and see.
मैंने आम आदमी पार्टी की योजना आपको बता दी। हम 6 स्टेट में 2022 में चुनाव लड़ने जा रहे हैं। हम अपने विस्तार में, अपनी योजना में लगे हुए हैं। हम उसी पे फोकस रख रहे हैं कि
हम 300 यूनिट बिजली फ्री की योजना, या फिर ये जो महिलाओं को 1000 रुपए देने की योजना, या फिर एजुकेशन और हेल्थ में काम करने की योजना, इसको हम कैसे इम्प्लीमेंट कर सकते हैं स्टेट वाइज। तो हम उन चीजों में लगे हुए हैं। ये कौन यूपीए का क्या नाम बदला जाएगा या नहीं बदला जाएगा, कौन सा फ्रंट बनेगा नहीं बनेगा, इस पॉलिटिक्स में हम नहीं है।
कि ममता जी चाहते हैं वो प्रोबेबल है, इसीलिए वो चाहते हैं एंटी बीजेपी हट जाए, इसीलिए वो ऑपोजिशन का यूनिटी भी चाहते हैं। और ये यूनिटी का मतलब ये है जो पार्टी जिधर भी स्ट्रांग है उधर वो ढंग से लड़के बीजेपी को हराए, यही है ऑपोजिशन यूनिटी की मतलब। और वो बार बार ये बात बोले कि कौन प्राइम मिनिस्टर बनेगा, ये आज का एजेंडा नहीं है। एजेंडा बाद, ये जीतने का बाद ही एजेंडा आएगा।
The opposition unity is a must, but at the same time, the treasury benches are not to ensure that there is a constructive and a unified opposition. And be it Mamata Banerjee or the Congress party or any other regional parties, it is clear they do not have a national agenda. They compromise on national security and issues that are important for the common man in our country. We saw that time and again when Rafale was made an issue by the Congress.
There was a meeting in the month of September. 19 political parties were present, including the TMC. The 19 political parties came together at national level. In certain states, they could not fight the elections together. And because the situation is not the same in all states, at the same time it is not the same at the national level. That is why the left has a clear view. It is time the situation demands that the secular democratic forces must come together, unite together in order to save democracy.
Now, whether it's going to be under the umbrella of UPA or not, I don't know, but I think UPA is a good name to have. UPA has a legacy. I think UPA, juxtaposed with the performance of the current government, does come out fairly well. I think therefore is a potent name for any opposition to get together. If you're talking of a opposition that can take on the BJP, it won't happen without the Congress. So obviously, we are not in the same position as say 2004 or 2009. Very clearly, I think at that time there were about, if I remember, 300 to 320, 30 seats in which we were the only opposition. Now it's kind of almost like 60, 70 seats down. But if people want to think that there can be a national fight on a basis of common understanding against the BJP, then you cannot do without the Congress.
Left will stand firmly and fight the communal fascist forces without any compromise. And in that fight, I think there is need for better coordination and more unity among the left parties.
आप मुझे बताइए कि बीजेपी क्या इस बात के लिए दावा कर सकती है कि उनका कोई लीडर नॉनवेज नहीं खाता है? मतलब आप अगर बात करिए तो किरण रिजिजू ने तो खुद कहा है कि हम बीफ खाते हैं, तो आपने उनको मंत्री बना रखा है। गोवा में आप जब जाते हैं तो आप वहां पे कहते हैं साहब बीफ की सप्लाई में कोई कमी नहीं होगी। मेघालय के चुनाव में कहते हैं कोई कमी नहीं होगी। और मथुरा में और यूपी में तो भाई गोवा में गाय गौ माता नहीं है और यूपी में गाय गौ माता है। ये पॉलिटिक्स जो है इसका अब इनको नुकसान झेलना पड़ेगा।
Congress in the last elections, if you look at the statistics, whether 2014 and 2019, there were at least in 200 Lok Sabha constituencies where the Congress was second and the BJP was first. So even if Mamata were to assume that she wins almost say 40-45 of the, if she wins 40 of the 42 seats, let's say in Bengal, even then she cannot form a government along with say TRS, YSR Congress, NCP and others. You need a backup of at least Congress having 100 seats.
अभी मोदी जी का जो रेजिम चल रहा है, मोदी 1 या मोदी 2 व्हाटएवर, तो ये पूरा एंटी पीपल है। और ममता जी प्रो पीपुल होने के नाते ये एंटी पीपुल बीजेपी के खिलाफ सबसे ऊंचा सर वही उठाते, बंगाल में, दिल्ली में, हर जगह। वो जो बीजेपी के खिलाफ है वो तो सबको पता होंगे, नहीं तो आपकी बार 200 पार जैसे बाहुबली की तरह मोदी शाह ने कलकत्ता में आया, बंगाल में आया, उसको जैसे लैंडस्लाइड विक्ट्री के साथ बंगाल की जनता और ममता जी की लीडरशिप में उनको भगाया गया, तो सबको पता होंगे कि बीजेपी के खिलाफ ममता जी एक ऊंचा आवाज है, बहुत ऊंचा इंपॉर्टेंट आवाज।
Everybody realizes the opposition has to be united. I mean, each of these opposition parties. But then, this kind of altruism, or rather the altruistic approach, yes, this has to be done, is not practical for the simple reason in many of the turfs, in many of the states, there are clashing interests. See, NCP beyond a point cannot accommodate Congress in Maharashtra. And Trinamool certainly will not brook any role for the Congress in Bengal, because she can't stand the present leadership of Congress in Bengal like Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary. There is a problem. And parties like BJD, TRS, YSR Congress, they will do what is in the best interest of themselves, their party and the state. So they will all be waiting for the final tally to come.
It's a very tough fight. Akhilesh Yadav is picking up, no doubt. But the Mathura Accord which they started, that means BJP is going by the Asta. That means Hindu votes. Therefore, UP is for Hindu. Yogi will not leave the seat like that. BJP has an edge. It may touch to 25, 230, maximum 240.
Well, I think it's going to be very tough for BJP. Let me be very frank. About a year ago or 8-10 months ago, when I was traveling in UP, my feeling was that BJP is about 100 seats down. So it was around 230, 240. And with everything happening, it will probably be able to cobble up majority. Now I'm not so sure, because what's happened in the last 5-6 months is that in public, there is a desire to look elsewhere. And once that happens, parties can be in trouble. And if people start thinking of a change, then change comes. So my thing is, BJP, I think, is in trouble.
No, UP, there is a mood against BJP, a strong mood against BJP. And there is a possibility also to defeat BJP. The so-called double engine, so-called development, the so-called media projections, I don't think it also shows the desperations on the part of BJP. If BJP loses power in UP, that will indicate the defeat of BJP in the forthcoming parliament elections.
इस इलेक्शन को भी कम्युनल एंगल देने का पूरा प्रयास बीजेपी करेगी, इसमें कहीं कोई शक नहीं है। इन्होंने कहा था न भ्रष्टाचार न गुंडा राज, अब की बार बीजेपी सरकार, यानी इनके लिए सबसे बड़ा मुद्दा था करप्शन और क्रिमिनलाइजेशन, वहां पे जिस तरह से अपराधीकरण था, तो उसके खिलाफ ये आए। और लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की हालत क्या है यूपी में? हाथरस कांड उठा के देख लीजिए। अभी मुजफ्फरनगर में 17 लड़कियों का यौन शोषण हुआ, बीबीसी की रिपोर्ट आई उस पे।
Uttar Pradesh elections will be a very decisive elections, and we would be contesting the elections on the plank of development. The last 5 years we have seen a very clean, transparent and good governance model in Uttar Pradesh, and at the same time law and order, which was a casualty in the earlier government during the Samajwadi Party rule, we have seen how law and order has improved in Uttar Pradesh.
Congress is not in great shape, which it never was, and BSP is also not in a great shape. So whatever resistance that BJP is going to get is from Samajwadi Party. So I see a situation where party may get 100 over seats, but BJP would still have 200 plus to form the government.
While in the power, we had proven to the people that we doubled the incomes of the farmers. We also showed that we brought in the Jewar airport. the Ganga Expressway connecting eastern UP, western UP. I don't know which government in UP has ever done as much. So therefore, I think we have set our agenda very clear that if we come to power, we'll pursue development and we will protect all sections of society. It will be a welfare Sar Samaj for all.
हम चाहते हैं तहे दिल से कि यूपी का इलेक्शन में योगी जी का रेजिम पॉलिटिकली खत्म हो जाए, क्योंकि वो एंटी पीपल है, वो लॉ एंड ऑर्डर सिर्फ नहीं, वो मनुष्य को मनुष्य नहीं समझते मोदी जी की तरह। तो 2024 में जैसे मोदी जी का रेजिम पॉलिटिकली खत्म होना हम चाहते हैं तहे दिल से, वैसे ही यूपी में योगी जी का रेजिम ये असेंबली इलेक्शन में पॉलिटिकली खत्म हो जाए, वो हम तहे दिल से चाहते हैं।
देखिए, जब जनता बदलाव के मूड में आती है तो फिर आप कोई प्रेडिक्शन कर नहीं सकते। जो अभी मूड लोगों का आज की तारीख में लग रहा है, क्योंकि पॉलिटिक्स में कब क्या हो जाए कुछ कहा नहीं जा सकता। अगर कोई ऐसा खेल ये लोग कर दें बीजेपी वाले तो, लेकिन आज की तारीख में जो मूड पब्लिक का है उसके हिसाब से एक बड़े बदलाव के लिए जनता उत्तर प्रदेश की तैयार है। अब बीजेपी नंबर ऑफ सीट्स में कितना नीचे जाएगी वो नहीं पता।